What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Common Sense, the podcast. Hope you guys are ready for this one. I know all the gun, bourbon, cigar people are going to be jumping on here since I promoted that. And that's what you guys always ask for. That and the multifamily guests. So, you guys, this week, I got a good friend of mine here with us. Y'all welcome Terence to the show. What's up, man?
Hey, glad to be here, man. Glad to be here.
Good to see you, man. So, for those of you that don't know who Terence Chaney is, give us a little 2-minute spiel a little bit about where you're from, what your background is, what you do, so people can get to know who you are.
All right, then. Well, I grew up in East Texas, Northeast Texas, so hated that. Got out of there as quick as I could.
It's like being born in Oklahoma.
Yeah, might as well have been.
Yeah.
But actually, some parts of Oklahoma are surprisingly prettier. Came up to Dallas as quick as I could.
Piss the East Texas people off.
And messed around with a lot of different things. Got into a lot of golf. Went to college. Learned a lot about the business there. Moved back to East Texas, unfortunately, and because the only place I could find a job in the golf industry was a pro out at the Cascades in Tyler. And
I've always wanted to play that course.
Really great course, man. They were really kind of in their heyday right when I was there. A lot of changes going on, but they had just built the facility as the Cascades instead of, oh hell, I forgot what it even was before that. It started with a B, I believe. It was an old maybe Briarwood.
Yeah.
There was 3 big clubs in Tyler, and that was one of them before it turned to the Cascades. But met a guy there that, I'd see members coming in, coming out. That's if you think about it, it's a high dollar facility. So,
yeah,
a couple $1 million homes on every hole. Everybody has their private carts. And I'd see one little group of people. I'd see them every day for 3-4 months. And then I wouldn't see them for 3-4 months. And I'm like, what do you guys do? How do you, what kind of lifestyle allows you to do this? They're like, oh, we're landmen. I'm like, what's that? How do I do it?
Yeah.
So
I want to know the secret.
It was right before an oil and gas boom, and I was able to get into the industry through some of them, and some family members really helped me get my foot in the door. I had to intern in oil and gas for about 6 months before I was able to be put on as an actual land agent on a project.
Yeah.
And that was around 2014. I've been doing it since. Still doing it now. Met some great people through that industry.
That's how we met. From mutual friends that are
mutual friends in the business, and I met great people I worked with, and great landowners on the other side of things too. Still have a lot of friends in South Texas from people we purchased land or right away from, or
yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, cool, man. I'm glad you came to sit down. I'm looking forward to breaking it down with you today. Before we get too far, because everybody wants to know what we're smoking, what we're drinking. So we're going to be a little all over the place today, I'm sure, because that's just what Terence and I do when we hang out.
That's right.
So what we're drinking, we're both drinking Eagle Rare right now. So they got some more Eagle Rare up here at ICC. So we cracked that new bottle, and that's what we're going to start off with at least. So then as far as what we're smoking today, we are both smoking the Patoro Vintage Red Label. These are amazing smokes. Terence really likes the Maduro, somewhere right in the middle. This nails that. I think. I don't know. What do you think about it?
Yeah, that's great so far.
Yeah. Then what we will get into a little bit later probably will be the Panda Domino. You guys have seen me smoke this a lot. They got, I don't know. They said the last one was the last box they were getting, and guess what? Another box magically appeared up here. So there's still about, I'd say, half a box left up there at the front right now, unless I decide to go buy some more before I leave tonight. But yeah, Panda Domino. You guys all heard Panda on here, and that's a phenomenal stick. I hope he puts out something real damn close to that when he gets his new line up and going, because that is an amazing stick that Panda put out with Luciano. So I know Panda's gone his separate way now and is doing his own thing, and look forward to seeing what he puts out there. But that's what we're smoking and drinking tonight. So what got you into cigars?
Really, it was our mutual friend, Don. I'd always dabbled a little bit. You know, I've never really smoked anything else. You know, high school, college, every now and then rip a dart or something when you're drinking, but never really caught on. Like, I'd never been fortunate, never had that. Like,
just don't say it was Don's chocolate cigar.
No. We know too much about that one. I don't even talk about that thing anymore. No, it wasn't actually. It never really developed a nicotine addiction. Like, I've never been a dipper, or chewer, or anything, but I always like the mystique, I guess, of cigars, the ambiance around them, the allure. It's always, you see them in movies and film. There's a draw to it there, right? But just started hanging out with this guy, and every time I was around, mostly at Javier's, just, here, have a cigar, try this, try that, try that. And I actually remember the first real nicotine buzz that I got. It kind of scared me. I know that's such a pussy thing to say, but I was at Industrial. Industrial, the one across the street we don't talk about, because I just moved to Frisco, and I only had to drive home just right across Preston Road from Grandscapes, and I was like, this is scary. I don't know, like, everything felt, but we hung out, and he kept giving it to me. Eventually I developed a taste and what profiles I like, and kind of found some just like this. This is really good. They're right in the slot for me.
Right on.
And eventually girlfriend bought me my own humidor. So I just kind of fell into it. It's like anything else that we do, right? And so you seem to find the same, guns, watches, cigars, whiskeys. There's a reason this podcast exists, right? It's because everybody typically always has kind of the same mind when they start collecting things like that, or at least people we know.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. How did that help you, or does that come up at all for you in the oil and gas industry? Like, when you're out there with these land guys, like, is cigars a big part of it? Bourbon? What's usually like some openers or something like that like really help you guys? Because like, if my understanding is correct, a lot of times, like, you're out there searching for, all right, we want to be in this area, and you've got to go find that landowner and meet with them and start trying to secure that land and get the rights to do what you guys do out there. So is that something that ever comes a part of that, or is that down the road?
It helps me a lot now, because now I'm the person that everyone's buying the stuff for. So I get to pick whatever I want usually. But yeah, so after I got into cigars and everything, I wasn't on that side of the coin then. I had become the company man, the client, the in-house guy, whatever term you want to use. So people, that we have contractors for will take us out to get our business, right? Just like a rep would, Yeah. So there's a couple of places in let's call it, the Permian, it's not really known for high culture out there, but there's a couple of places.
A little more than East Texas.
Especially where I grew up. But that has to do with there's only a couple of places out there that you can throw some weight around with a name. Like, hey, we're going to go to this place tonight, or go to this place tonight, instead of going to, like Roadhouse and sitting at the bar. Yeah. Or Longhorn Steakhouse or something like that. Yeah. Sorry if they sponsor your show or anything, but.
Oh, no, you're good. You can say whatever you want. You're good.
Longhorn Steakhouse, no.
But you did find the cork and pig down there.
Yeah, actually, the first time I ever had it.
Something like that.
Yeah, pork and fork.
Yeah, something like that. It's really good. It's like, I think it's one of the best restaurants in Midland, Odessa.
I think there's two of them now. Did so well out there, and then I believe there's one in Louisville.
One here.
Not Louisville.
Dallas, I think.
Las Colinas.
Las Colinas.
Unless they open one in Dallas.
I know there's one in the Metroplex now.
Yes, there's at least one here. Yeah. But yeah, so 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when all those places were just coming around, like the few places that had cigars or nice whiskey selections, there's maybe two of them in all of Midland and Odessa. And if you told a client on this side or a landowner that you wanted to meet him there, yeah, it definitely helps things out.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, they're serious, and you know it's them trying to get your business or them trying to get your land, but at least you respect them enough to take them to a nice place instead of some bullshit.
One that's right there? I know we used to stay at a hotel in Midland all the time when I was down there doing business. It's like Wall Street or something like that. It's a steakhouse, like a New York steakhouse, like right across.
Yeah.
That's an awesome.
It's right across from the
and then there's a
the
beer
DoubleTree
and
down there.
place like about 2 blocks down that you can walk to.
Yeah,
it's open later. It's like one of the few in downtown Midland that's open a little later.
I know what you're talking about. Me and my friends used to do trivia there, I think. Yeah, there's institutions in Midland now that have made it through. I guess our last big boom was 2015-ish. And then, of course, we had our downturn. And then right on the tail end of the downturn, COVID. So the down to, it's cyclical, just like most other industries. It's 3-year cycle for oil and gas. Just about before every election is we see if it's going to boom or continue. But in this particular instance, it was a double whammy. Like COVID happened right after a downturn.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see a lot of those places that survived in a place like the Permian because they've been there forever. They're gonna be there forever.
Yeah. So what got you to get it? That's what got you away from golf was going down the oil and gas. But I mean, I know you still play.
Yeah.
But like.
Oh yeah. So
hardcore.
It's the money, of course. Yeah. You're not gonna. You have to be part of a very exclusive club and be a very good teacher to make any money as a golf pro, or you just gotta really love the game, right? Yeah. It's like being a chef. Like, if you really love the game, or if you really love to cook, like you don't want to stand on your feet for 14 hours a day and cook or give golf lessons, and you never get to enjoy it on your own after that, right?
You and I, switching after 9 holes, lost to Archibald.
Man,
it still chaps my ass. Like, we need to get a rematch in soon because that was brutal.
Well, hey,
like we both fell apart at the same time.
That was I'm gonna blame that on course knowledge. Because neither of us really got to play with Churton, did we? And he lived out there, so.
Yeah, that was a brutal day.
I smoked him on the final 3 holes, though.
Yeah, we did get him back at the end, but yeah, that was a long day.
We want to dive right into golf. That was something I was thinking about earlier, and thinking about like someone like Morikawa. Colin Morikawa. Mm-hmm. He hit. This is probably an incorrect stat, but something like 74% of fairways this year, which is absurd. I mean, people are like, well, I can hit 13 out of 18 fairways a day or 10 out of 14, right? But, the difference in you hitting a 35-yard slice and hitting the ball straight is about 3 degrees of club angle when you drive the ball. And that, I mean, to think that you're smart enough or that good at golf to determine if you're swinging a club at 120 miles an hour that you can control 3 degrees of tilt is absurd. I mean, that's absurd. It's a bit on the.
It's just like Scheffler. I mean, like what is he up to? Like 7 wins on the tour this year? Yeah,
but also he had 7 missed cuts. No, excuse me, 7 rounds over par.
Yeah.
I don't know how many missed cuts he had, but I saw that graphic earlier. 7 wins this year and 7 rounds over par. And then it was
and what's the other one that finally won his first 2 majors?
Xander,
yeah, Xander Schauffele. Yeah. So like, who gets like golfer of the year?
Right, and actually,
is 2 majors better than like 1 major out of 7 wins on tour? Would you take the 2 majors, or are you going to take?
I think that's why they let the players vote it, right? Like golfer of the year is voted out by the players, right? Or at least, if not completely voted by the players, are a huge part of it. Mm-hmm. I'd be torn too. I mean, I'd be sitting right there at the bottom of the money list, barely holding on to my card for the next year, and being like, I made $37,000 this year. I'm happy. I don't care who wins golfer of the year,
right?
But yeah, it'd be hard to decide that, and I really have no idea. I'm Scotty. If Scotty hadn't won gold, I'd have gone with Xander probably. But him capping the whole thing off with Olympic gold that's pretty cool. And he beat out an Englishman right there at the very end. That's what Olympic golf should look like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I unfortunately didn't watch a lot. I got tired of listening to everybody bitch about the things that they took issue with. And again, not saying I didn't take issue with some of the things and that I didn't think they were wrong, but a lot of people just did a bunch of lip service all over social media. And I was like, I even made a post about it. I was like, if you really feel that offended, and I mean, in all honesty, I think if any other religion had been mocked like that in the opening ceremony, there'd have been a war. I mean, they'd protested the Olympics, everything else. It would have been absolutely insane. But because it was the Christian faith that was attacked, everybody just kind of took it on the cheek. And, but they all went to social media. But how many of them still watch the Olympics?
Right.
How many of them went and bought their Olympic t-shirts? So if you really felt that way, why'd you watch the Olympics? Don't support. I mean, it sucks that the Olympic Committee allowed that to happen. And then, all these other great Olympians that people wanted to watch, they felt bad to support them. And, they've been training their whole lives for maybe that one Olympics.
Mm-hmm. And maybe the only shot they get.
But it's and then the other side of it that I saw from the LGBTQ community were trying to say, well, it was the, great Dionysus, replication. And I was like, okay, if that's your stance, I understand, but you need to fire whoever from your community was in charge of that program because that was an epic failure.
Right.
Because you got pictures and time completely mixed up.
Is that the goddess of wine? Is that right?
Something
Dionysus?
Like that, or celebration.
Wine celebration probably. Hand in hand.
So either way, it was just man, I was so tired of it. So I didn't watch much now. I was kind of forced to at the moment because my wife is obsessed with the gymnastics. I mean, turned her ESPN off and everything else. She even tried one night. I mean, it was some crazy night. I want to say it was a Sunday or something like that. Maybe Saturday. And I think the girls went on at something 3 or 4 in the morning here. She just literally tried to stay up to watch it.
Yeah.
She didn't make it, but, she watched it the next day. So,
that's by far the most impressive thing that I think they do. Now, I mean, it's all impressive because I can't do any of it. So it's all, I remember the first time me and a friend back in, it would have been 2000 or 2004, partying all night, something like that. And then there's nothing on except the Olympics.
Yeah.
This is before streaming services, right? Netflix was still coming in the mail at that point. And handball came on for the first time. I was like, you mean we could have been in the Olympics with this shit? And now I watch it now, I'm like, there's no way I could have done that.
Yeah, I definitely think the Summer Olympics is way better. You get the Winter Olympics and you start getting stuff like curling.
Is cornhole a sport yet?
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. It's going to be in there soon.
I'm sorry. After I seen the breakdance and shit, I'm like, I give up.
Well, they pulled that.
You did see the Australian.
I don't know how the hell she even qualified. Man, damn.
You did see the Australian. You didn't just hear about it, right? You saw the video.
Bruh, it was the car accident I could not turn away from.
Could you have mixed to that?
Hell no. You, bruh. Yeah, if you spun the record backwards and threw the turntables down the hill, then you could probably match to whatever she was doing. But that just, being part of the culture, especially from hip hop, that was just blatant disrespect. That was like watching the early episodes of American Idol when people would come out in chicken suits and couldn't sing and thought they were.
It was just for the spot.
Well, I mean, it works, right?
That was.
She's all over the place now.
Yeah, for flopping around like a dead fish.
That just doesn't make any sense.
That was the worst thing I think I've ever seen.
I put TV. A meme on my Facebook. You remember the old school days when Scooby-Doo and them used to tiptoe around? That's what she looked like, a Scooby-Doo montage when they used to run from Ghost. It was just bad. And you're so bad you got a sport canceled in the Olympics. That's bad.
That's pretty bad.
That's bad. But anyway, I digress.
Well, what got you? So oil and gas. You're a big. I know you and I both share this as far as guns and knives.
Yeah.
What got you in the gun world? It's my understanding your family, this is like a family thing with you, right?
Yeah, so it's you were talking to my dad earlier, like, so anyway, I grew up with my grandparents. Dad was around, in, out kind of thing, but the family side of it is my mom's sister's husband, so my uncle. And I know how family trees work. I know how uncles work. I'm saying that for clarification to know which side of the family.
You did talk about East Texas, so
yeah,
it was.
Well, shit. Yeah, so I walked right into that fucking one. But it was So it was my uncle and his family owned what at the time was the largest gun store in Texas. It was over 4,500 square feet. I can't remember what their actual inventory was, but this is when we were growing up and in junior high and high school. So this would have been, like rifle gear down the road didn't exist. Yeah. And like stores like that weren't a thing. Like it wasn't common for everyone to have their own hand-built AR that they put together at a gun show for $700. It was a different time, right?
Yeah.
And I got to see some cool stuff going out there, and and then my dad, who was really good friends with my uncle. That's actually how my aunt and him met. Was my dad was with my mom and her sister, of course. They all were hanging out together. And so I spent a lot of time out there growing up. It was actually an exotic game ranch too. It wasn't just a gun store. It had all kinds of crazy shit out there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was actually I was at Shields before I came here. Which, by the way, every time I go in that place, like I find a new section, It's
I
like,
try to avoid it like the plague.
It's like Narnia. Like like you walk past one rack of clothes and you're in like a whole new world.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's like Navy SEAL gear over here, and then it's like, oh wait, you got athletic gear.
Yeah,
and
here's 90,000 Stanley Cups in every different color imaginable under the sun. If I see one more of those damn things, I'm gonna puke. Like, I'm so sick. I think there's 12 of them in my house between a 10-year-old and a 32-year-old girl. So. But anyway, yeah, I actually looked up in the gun room up there, by the rare guns.
Yeah.
And I was telling Preston, I think he was out there too, a story about when my cousin and I were out on the ranch. We were riding horses one day. Just, I don't know how big it was. They had a couple thousand acres. And there's one particular area called the buffalo pasture where they used to keep buffalo, right?
Yeah.
But now in the buffalo pasture, since they stopped doing that, we're Cape buffalo. And if you ever heard anything about those things, they may be one of the single meanest animals on the planet, and dangerous too.
Yeah.
So there's about 6 of them standing about 100 yards away in this little pond. They're huge too. They're almost twice as big as a cow, and they're standing up to about their knees. And we're riding our horses, giving them as much berth as we can.
Yeah.
And they're just staring at us. I'm like, fucker, don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't you. And one of them starts to walk out of the pond, and it was on, man. Now, I'm not a great horse rider. I grew up with horses and everything. I know what I'm doing, but it was all the horse from that point out. Like, for 10 minutes, that thing chased me at full trot. I don't know how fast that horse was going. It's one of the most terrifying things I've ever experienced. So all I could, we're running through woods and trees, and all I could think was, keep your head lower than the horse, because you're not going to hit a branch, because he's not. But they finally gave up. I couldn't have got off that horse fast enough. We took him straight back. I was like, that was wild. But anyway, yeah. So we
these were sent to you guys from a couple of gentlemen. So.
All right.
Man,
what do we got?
I think it's a
That's
but it's just like crown with a drip of Coke on it.
It looks a little darker.
All right.
So, yeah.
That's definitely a
I know
Don
who did it too.
thing.
That's Don. They plotting on you.
Yeah.
They want to see how fast
They're
they can
trying
get y'all
to see
drunk,
how
and the
fast they
podcast
can
get
detour this
interesting.
show.
You had to shoot it, so you can't sip on that on camera. You already said
Got to
that.
shoot.
That's an
They
express
don't get to
train
make
hell.
rules.
It does smell like it has Coke in it.
Yeah, conversation about to be real interesting in 15 minutes.
Yeah. So
now.
that just got real.
So anyway, yeah, it was mostly that, and then I learned to shoot, pretty young, with my dad. He's probably forgotten more about Western movies than anyone's ever known. I'm actually named after Terence Hill, if anybody knows who that is, which now you all can't unknow. He was an old Western movie star. You remember Back to the Future 3?
Yeah.
Where he draws the pistol on him, slaps him in the face. That's an
Yeah.
old skit from a Terence Hill movie where he's holding a saddle over his shoulder, slaps him in the face, drops the saddle,
I know
draws
who
the
you're
gun.
talking about now.
Yeah.
My grandfather watched Westerns all the time.
He's blue-eyed, blonde-haired dude. Couldn't have looked more like me. Right?
Yeah.
Like totally off base. But anyway, so, you know, started with revolvers. Then went to long guns, mostly lever actions, bolt actions, old stuff. So it all came from a place of, you know, I didn't just like, I want an AR one day, that kind of thing, or I want a 2011. It's started from a little bit of a history standpoint too.
So what do you like to shoot now, and what do you like to hunt?
So I
You
got
a bird
really,
guy? I mean,
yeah, I'm pumped for dove season actually.
Yeah.
You know, except this is my favorite time of year because dove season's coming around. Everything's getting cold, or well, it used to. I think we're screwed for. It's hot out there, man. It's damn hot. But yeah, I love to bird hunt because you know, bird hunting is like, well, dove hunting in particular, not all bird, but you don't have to be like in a stand and quiet. You know, like you're just out there having fun with your friend. We've had barbecues going and limited out on dove hunts.
Yeah, if you're in the right
times
place at the
before.
right time, if you know what you're doing, you're set up.
So I got real into dove hunting when I was young, and so primarily, I guess to answer the question would be, I excel more than anything with shotguns.
Okay.
I'm a phenomenal. Sound like a dickhead. I'm a good shotgun shooter, not phenomenal. You know, I'm shooting at least 85 every time I shoot 100. You know, on clays.
Yeah, I'm getting you out on my clay shoot next time we go on one of these. I'm taking Terrence and bringing my ringer.
Yeah, and you know, and I do it with a field gun too. I don't have a trap gun. I don't have some weird, you know, Satori with chokes on it. It's 29-inch barrel. I use my same gun I hunt birds with, same gun I shoot trap
I know
with.
2 guys that actually have like competition guns for shooting clays, and actually I'll tell you about 3. And 2 of the 3 are legit. Like, it's worth it for them to have them. The other one, I mean, I don't see him doing any better. I mean, I take my Benelli. That is my true shotgun. I don't care if we're going out to shoot snow geese or Canadians, or if we're going dove hunting or we're going duck hunting. I'm taking my Benelli. That thing never jams. It never has a problem. I clean it once a year.
Yeah.
And that thing, I mean, you could drop that thing in mud and water and pull it out and it'll still fire.
Yeah. So same for me. I hunt with a Beretta. So you know, same same family. Beretta, Benelli. It's all Stoger, Franchi, Beretta, and Benelli are all.
You'd laugh at me though. Like my dad had this, so I inherited a shotgun, and I don't even remember what brand it was, but he bought it. My dad used to be a gun collector when I was really young, and then he sold all that off when we had tough times. Kept a few things, but he had this Ducks Unlimited shotgun, like beautifully engraved, like badass collector's thing. Well, when I got into construction and started getting go on hunts, I was like, I got a shotgun. That's what I went out with, and people would be like, "You're hunting with that?" And I'm like, "Well, it's the only shotgun I own. Like, yeah, that's what I'm hunting with." But then we started doing these blasting casts down on the coast, and the salt water started hitting it, and I was like, "Man, this is a pain in the ass." Like cleaning it every day, and just making sure to keep that salt water off of it and stuff like that. I was like, "All right, this is a bad idea." So then I ended up selling that gun.
What'd you get? Did you get a Super Blackhawk or a Nova?
I think mine's a Nova, if I remember correctly.
I mean, it's probably one of the best duck guns ever made.
Yeah. Whatever. God, this would have been about 10 years ago, and a brand new one came out that took the larger shells. Like mine.
3-inch. You got one that take 3.5.
Mine will only take 3-inch, I believe. Actually, I think I can shoot both. Can't remember. But there was a new one that came out, and I want to say it was
3.5. 3.5-inch shells.
Yeah.
So it's 2 3/4, 3 inch,
And
or
this
3 1/2.
guy that was a vendor of mine was like, "Hey man, I'm buying this gun. I need $400 so that I don't have to tell my wife about it." He's like, "You want to buy my old Benelli so that you have a good gun since you're selling that other one?"
Were you like,
I was like,
for
$400?
Yeah.
And he brought to me, I mean, it was brand new pretty much in the case. He'd only fired a few times, had all the chokes, everything. I was like, yeah, so I bought a Benelli for $400.
That's a steal. You can't even get the bottom of that tier, a Stoger, for $400 anymore. And I've had lots of those. And, you know, we got those. Like, it's weird to not have to care. Like, a Stoger, and you're walking. I could do it with a Benelli or Beretta too, but I'd be a little more nervous about it. Setting decoys with no light on a frozen lake in the morning, cracking the ice with the butt of your shotgun when you're walking out.
Yeah.
And then, you know, not having a dog, having birds on the water and going out to get them in a john boat and realize there's no paddle in it. Oh, I got a Stoger. I can use that as my paddle. And we've done that plenty of times. Duck hunting was a lot of fun when I got into that.
Yeah, that's what got me hooked.
I think it really kind of did me too for a long time, because you get over being cold real quick. I mean, even if you got the best gear, if you're standing out chest deep in water in February or January, you know, in a lake that's remote, you're going to be cold for a little bit, but it goes away real fast, especially once the birds start flying.
But I think that's the big thing too, that I hear a lot of people that don't like bird hunting, they don't spend the money and buy the right gear the first time.
No, yeah, that's
if you just buy the right gear and get the right stuff and make sure you have your layers, buy it once.
Yeah, buy once, cry once.
If you don't, you're going to be buying it 2-3 times to figure it out. So like, get somebody that really knows what they're doing if you're going to go down that road and you haven't done it, and buy the right gear. If you have the right gear, you're not going to be as cold as the people that don't, or wet. As long as you can stay dry, you're good.
Yeah.
Like you can tolerate anything else. For the most part. But
definitely.
You get the wrong gear and you get cold and wet, you are screwed.
Yeah.
And you're gonna hate it.
So for anybody wanting advice or anything, buy once, cry once, right? It's go and don't go buy whatever.
Don't go to Academy. And
whatever
buy,
Walmart's variant of waders are right now. Yeah. I mean, game winners are not bad. They'll get you through in a pinch. But if you're going to be somewhere where it's really, really cold, you know, for example, okay, last year we did we went hunting in Terlingua, which is, if you've ever been there, beautiful, but also desolate. Yeah. I mean, we rode 45 minutes in, 45 minutes out on a mule just to get to where we were hunting, and rode around all day long. In the morning, it was 27 degrees. In the afternoon, it was 78 degrees. That's that high desert stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, so we were out there, and this was the first year. I've always had pretty good gear, but I bought all Sitka stuff for this hunt, right? So I'm like, okay, what's the best in temperature regulation generally across the board? I'm sure there's some Sitka haters out there, if anyone's even listening to me. It's worth it. And I mean, buy their stuff on sale. You don't have to buy their brand new stuff. Get their stuff on sale, but it's to be able to layer properly and deal with being that cold in the morning, to just putting your top layer and wearing your other layer that works just as good in the heat as it does in the cold during the day, because it's an all day thing out there. You don't have the option to return to the hunting camp. You know, once you're out there all day, or until you kill what you want to kill. And we were looking for elk, and hopefully I'm right about this, or the game wardens are going to be after me. I'm pretty sure I am. Elk is an invasive species, not invasive, non-native species in Texas. So there are no tags. There is no lottery. There is, if you see an elk, you can kill that elk. And I guess ultimately as many as you'd like to kill. But who would ever need more than one? It's 600 pounds of meat.
That's insane. I have not done an elk hunt yet. I definitely want to do that. I've heard that is a ton of fun.
Come to Terlingua.
A lot of work.
Come to Terlingua. It's I mean, So you've been whitetail hunting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been mule deer hunting.
Yes.
Okay, so you know how much bigger a mule deer is as a whitetail because you don't really understand that until the first time you kill one. It's not that much bigger, but it's more work when you dress it.
Yeah.
So like 3 mule deer and 3 whitetail put together equal an elk, right?
Yeah.
So it's
that's where I lack in the hunting department because I've been spoiled because I get to go on all these client paid trips or we're paying to entertain a client. I have only dressed 2 deer in my entire life.
I'm not far behind you. I've only done it a couple of times too.
And I've always, thank God though, I've always had like really good people with me that can like help me, show me, and or it's a paid hunt, so the guides are dressing everything. So that's always been really nice.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
because it's a lot of work, and you watch somebody that hasn't done it a lot of times versus somebody that's done it, and they're like in there with their surgeon knives and just.
Yeah. Well, and then you're constantly it's like, oh man, I missed that piece. I missed this piece. I left so much meat on the animal kind of thing. Right. So, yeah, I mean, it's good to have those people with you. I think it's a skill that you should all know. I mean, basic butchering is not difficult. You just imagine it's a weird, skinny looking cow and cut it that way.
The Shop Boys, your fan club's here.
Yeah, no kidding.
They're all online and they're here.
I can't tell who's in camo.
Can't see either of them. Yeah, we'll get there. They're already hammers.
What do you call it? Black tooth?
Black tooth.
If that's what this is?
Yeah.
All right, let's drink this stupid thing.
Let's do it so we don't have to listen to them.
Are we going to try to analyze what it is since I don't, or do you know what it is?
It's supposed to be Crown with a splash of Coke, I guess. And it's apparently a shot. That's what Don's on here busting our shit about. So we can't let the old man get us, but yeah, fuck you, Don.
There's something else in there.
Yeah, that's not just Coke and Crown.
So this conversation, ladies and gentlemen,
is about to go from
greatest
shot I've ever done.
I think I got some elk or something. Yeah, let's go to that real quick.
Talk too much. I keep
too bad. We should have filmed this at like JR's place and done this at Will Call or something. He's gonna do that. At least JR and those guys and Sean, or maybe at the back 9, because then we'd have way better drinks than that.
Cool. Yeah.
Don, you're an asshole.
Yeah,
I don't care if that's dime bag shot or not. I can't. Yeah, no.
Is that what he's saying? Is dime bag shot?
Yeah, he's saying it's dime bag shot.
I think it's probably because I'm wearing my Dallas Stars Pantera shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Pantera, but I'm pretty sure that's the intention. So.
That's one thing I loved learning about you is you're one of the few people I've met in Texas that I can legit talk hockey shop with. Like, we're both Dallas Stars fans. I was originally a Hartford Whalers fan. They don't exist anymore. So, when I moved to Texas, inherited the Stars. But it's so funny that, like, when we're in the playoffs and stuff, everybody here is a Dallas Stars fan.
Right.
But you ask them basic questions or who their favorite player is, like, it's either the captain, one of the captains, or it's, the most bland answer in the world. And you and I like started talking and like, I still love this. I got you with the Chris Pronger trivia.
You did. I had no idea. The first team I can remember him playing for was, you know what? It's not the first team I remember him playing for. It's where I remember his highlights from. And that makes sense because I got into hockey a few years after you. So that was around the time that he would have gotten traded.
Yeah. And I mean, the Whalers dissolved, I want to say within, 3 years of him being drafted.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very short-lived. My big experience was, when I moved to Connecticut, I knew shit about hockey. That was like my initiation. When the ponds froze over, all the kids in the neighborhood were like, hey, you want to come play hockey with us? I'm like, hockey? I don't even have ice skates. We don't even own a snow shovel. And they're like, what size you wear? Whatever I said at the time, and they're like, "Oh, I got skates for you. Come on, man. Just like throw some sweatpants on, a hoodie, and come on out. We've already cleared the pond. We're gonna play hockey on the pond." I'm like, dude, I've never ice skated. Like, we'll teach you. So, you know, I get out there, and I mean, I look like a brand new baby bird trying to learn how to walk. Like, I mean, I'm all over. I finally get to where I can
got the bend going with the legs.
Yeah, like I mean, I can barely stand up, but I get to where I can like at least move forward. These guys have been skating since they could walk.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably better skaters than they were walking.
They're skating backwards. They're cutting ice. They're going at it. And they're like, well, all right, man. Like, you look like you're doing pretty good. Like, come play hockey with us. And I'm like, seriously? Like, I felt like I was gonna be the kid that like nobody wanted to pick me on their team. No, I was the first pick of the captains. And I'm like, something's fishy here.
Yeah, did they ever give you a reason for that?
Oh, we're getting there.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, I mean, I can barely stand on skates and I can go forward a little bit, but like I'm falling down constantly and all this. These fuckers start passing me the puck every chance they get. And if there's somebody within 3 feet of me, they are lighting my ass up. I mean, you want to see, there's no boards on a pond.
Right.
But I'm flying 10 yards across the ice and just getting annihilated every second they can get a hit on me. Nobody's wearing any gear. The only person wearing any bit of gear is the goalies.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I'm just getting lit up. After about the third hit, I was like, I'm fucking done. I skated over the side, threw them sticks, took the skates off, threw them down, put my shoes on. They're like, oh, you're leaving, man? I'm like, yeah. Any of y'all want to come over here on the ground? We can go. I'll fight any one of you that's laid a hit on me. And if not, I'll see you during baseball or football season. Like, they annihilated me. Like, I was like, oh, okay. Initiation to hockey in New England.
Yeah, I mean, well, and you know, what a place to learn it too. Like, I mean, the following for the Whale in Connecticut, you know, that's legendary status stuff. Like, there's not a lot of teams that have that kind of rabid fans out there. It was a huge deal for them. What is it? One of Gretzky's first face-offs versus, was it Gordy? When he finishes at 51 years old, finished for the Whalers.
Think so, yeah.
51 years old. That was it was a way different game then, but I mean that stuff's crazy. And you know, I'm no athlete, but I played sports. I tried hard, you know, in high school. I tried to stay fit after college or during college and all that, but I learned to play hockey in Florida, of all places. Don't get me started on that shit, boy, because I can't stand any of those teams. Man, I hate all those teams.
More than the Avalanche or Vegas?
No.
Yeah,
well, actually,
so.
You know what? I have no real hate for Vegas. I don't, because that's a new thing. And you know what? Vegas knows who they are. They know with their bullshit long-term IR stuff that they do with players like Mark Stone and, you know, keep them off the roster.
Like, I don't like how
they found a way to cheat. Good for them. They found a way to cheat.
They became the Yankees of hockey in an expansion team.
Well, I mean, in that draft too, like the way that draft happened, remember like 2 years later, the Kraken came in and they were like, no, we can't do that anymore. We're not drafting like that. No, that was ridiculous.
The Kraken gets screwed.
Sorry, guys, we fucked up. Like, we need a different kind of draft system.
That's it.
And because it was a team full of second liners, that's all it was. The Knights were, and they were able to. It was a team full of young second liners mostly too.
Yeah, they robbed every team of like their draft picks. That basically you couldn't just say like, oh, I'm gonna protect this guy. Like he's like, I gotta leave him in the farm system. Like, I can't do it. And they came in and just like,
and it was guys that
the house
developed.
Yeah.
Like, and so now, you know, you're like, you know, okay, here's the trade value on this guy. Who's a good example? Marshall, maybe?
Marshall.
Yeah, maybe he's a good example. Like, his trade value skyrocketed because he developed as a player, but he was a second line dude on a failing team. And someone was like, oh, yeah, extra scouting. We don't have to look at him in hockey or whatever, AHL, OCHL, or OHL, whatever. It was like, we've seen him play NHL games.
Yeah.
And he's still developing. Like, let's grab him and trade him in 2 years and get a great return for him and build a team with a good mix of veteran and young players. And that's why Vegas is who they are. Now, they have an incredible fan base. There's obviously a ton of money that's pumped into that system. Look at the stadium, look at the town.
Like, I've seen it, but I haven't actually gone to watch a hockey game.
They need to play a game in the Sphere.
Yes.
Like that thing looks ridiculous from the outside, by the way. I don't know if you've seen it in person yet, but
I flew in and saw it outside. I have not been inside yet. My wife has vestibular damage. Sarah, she can't. So, like, we wanted to see, I think last time we were in Vegas, like, U2 had just ended theirs. So they were on, like, the break before they brought in. The next was, like, Wu-Tang. And I was like, oh, I want to see this so bad.
I mean,
and then, like, but it was on a break, so it was just like all the like light and visual stuff, and I was like, yeah, she'll be sick in 5 minutes in here. Like, we can't do this. Like, this is not going to work. But yeah, I definitely that's one of the, and I want to see. I want to go to a basketball game and a hockey game in Madison Square Garden. That's one of the few things I didn't do when I lived up north. I'd really like to do that. Did I move that too far,
Biz? I just hit it. We still good?
Good.
We good? All right.
Yeah, you're like me. You're loud enough. It's not going to matter. These mics are badass that Biz has. So, but yeah, I got lucky, man. So, like, after that hockey experience, the guy that I became friends with, my best friend at the time, one of my two or three really good friends up there in Connecticut was that one's dead. Use that one.
Oh, we got another one.
Yeah, we got another one out there. One of my good friends, he played junior Olympic hockey. So, and he was a sponsored downhill mountain bike racer for GT at the time. So, I got to go all over New England with my best friend and his dad, and I got to watch junior Olympic hockey. That's how I learned hockey. Not playing, like I never played. I'm horrible on skates. Like, it's something I would love to be better at, but, like, I wasn't going to try to do that up there. Like, I was way behind the curve. It was like playing football in New England and moving to Texas and then seeing football here. Like, in Connecticut, you're lucky if, like, your girlfriend and your parents showed up to the football game. And it literally looks like the high school stadium, if you even want to call it that, looks like a middle school practice field here in Texas.
Yeah,
and then you move to Texas and you like, it's Friday Night Lights, and you're like, holy shit.
Well, I mean, you live in the heart of it now.
This is like college.
Allen, Braswell.
Yeah,
like
I mean, like
that.
That wasn't here in '96 when I moved here, but
no,
even then, the Colony Stadium was equivalent to some smaller colleges in New England.
Yeah, well, Weatherford.
Yeah,
you go out west towards the Outback and everything. That the first time I drove by that was when Allen and all these big stadiums.
Yeah.
What's the one that Grapevine?
Prosper too. Like, holy.
It's everywhere now.
Yeah,
it's everywhere.
But yeah, I mean,
it's amazing the amount of money they pump into that stuff.
But I grew up watching junior Olympic hockey, which then translated to me watching college hockey. Like, short of the Whalers, I really wouldn't watch hockey unless it was college hockey for a long time. And then when I moved to Texas, I was like, you had to pay, like, college hockey in New England at the time, like, you could just turn to your local channel
and it'd be on, yeah.
And like, college hockey was on.
Like Boston College versus,
Boston College.
That may be the only college hockey team I can name other than Minnesota or something like that.
Yeah. But, I mean, like, it was on everywhere. I mean, like, you watch Harvard, you'd watch Yale, you could watch, any of these.
But at that point, like, hockey, especially on the East Coast, is like, almost seems like an Ivy League thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's a Harvard team, the Yale team, the Boston College. I don't know if they're Ivy League or not. I don't know all the schools, but
yeah. But you could watch. I'm saying, like, good college hockey, like guys that want to be in the NHL, like, and these kids are like playing for their lives.
Yeah. Weren't you there at Miracle in 1980? What were you, 30 then?
No. I'm not. You're going Don Brooks on me now.
Oh, was he very insultory?
Yeah. So, I mean,
he thinks he's funny when he does stuff like that, but he doesn't know.
I know, right?
We don't care, and also it cuts.
I love it. Not everybody gets those jokes, though.
Is he gonna respond to that comment? We'll see.
He probably will. What did he say a minute ago? But dude, you older than 20 and you still wear your hat backwards. That's why you don't get picked for anything. Ha 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 ha. Hat backwards. I know that offends him so much.
I feel like we're missing a lot of opportunities to shit on other people. I didn't know that was up over there.
Yeah, that's all right.
I think one episode we just have him in here with all y'all. I got 4 mics. It just would be funny to watch y'all just shit on each other for 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that, but I don't think he can play the Dirty Dozens like that.
You don't think he can do it like that?
I don't think he can do that. Like, Terrence and I would have him roasted in 10 minutes.
I'd referee. If you ever watch,
we just make Clerks jokes and everything else.
That's funny. Have we talked about that yet? Like, that's a big joke between me and my friends is Mallrats. Kevin Smith, Hartford, the whale.
No, have you? I mean, people are going to get lost on this, but have you seen, like, Don and I started going down this road because Don. Some of you that watched Don Brooks episode, you know who I'm talking about. That's who we are referencing. If you saw the Don Brooks episode,
nobody watched that shit.
He did not come dressed in full gear today because his badge actually says retired, I'm pretty sure. But, or maybe retarded. I don't know if it says retired or retarded. I'm not sure.
Damn.
But, yeah.
Okay, Zing, go ahead. Let me what you got.
But him and I were in downtown Deep Ellum area with bands doing stuff when I was 18 to 23. I mean, Don was probably 30 to 40. I don't know, somewhere in there. I think he's one of those.
Well, I think he's 90
both ways.
Yeah, I think he's 90 now. Yeah.
Coke was like 5 cents a
The Godfather
bottle.
does keep a pistol on him.
Look, I know I know this about him. I don't know how old he actually is, but he's old enough to where he's one of those guys that puts peanuts in their Coke. I've seen him do it like 6 times. So
that's
the only other person.
Were you part?
Yeah,
were you
hell yeah! I'll tell you why if you want to know.
Wait, were you at the dinner where somebody did Mountain Dew and whiskey or whatever? And then
no, that was Preston sitting out there.
Preston, yeah, it was Preston.
This can be an educational podcast too.
Yeah.
Mountain Dew was originally created to go with whiskey. Look it up.
Yeah, like look at the original logo. Like you got to go really far back when Mountain Dew was first created.
Yeah.
There's some kind of like whiskey reference.
Which, by the way, Mountain Dew is far older than I thought it was.
Yeah, me too.
Like,
I was like, fuck, the old guys are teaching us something yet again. But yeah, Don about lost his shit because
you should have been there when I Mountain Dew.
Yeah. But no, when Don and I were like, man, we were in so many places at the same time and never knew each other. Well, we even lived in the same neighborhood and didn't know each other. But then when I moved to my new neighborhood, I meet Archibeki at the wine crawl.
Yeah, because you lived in Savannah.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
And then I get invited to Don's Friendsgiving, and I walk in and like a whole bunch of my old like band buddies are there, like from the time I did all that stuff. And it was like really wild, but like Don started pulling up pictures, dude. You got to get him to show you this. You can find it on his Facebook. It's really hard to find because you have to go through like a gazillion Facebook photos because he actually does know how to upload to Facebook, believe it or not. Unlike most senior citizens, he like is on Facebook all the time. So I
think that's where the technology like stopped.
Yeah.
Facebook's pretty old technology.
He probably still remembers his MySpace password.
Yeah, I bet he had a Vine.
He probably did. But anyways, man, he's got this picture, and it's Don, dude, with like the butt cut and like long hair, and he's got down, and he's like wearing like a black trench coat. He looks just like Dante on Clerks. Exactly like Dante on Clerks.
Yes, I know.
And I started calling him Dante, and he's like, "Fuck you, shut up, I don't want to hear it."
But for that scene at that time, he looked exactly how he was supposed to look because he could have stepped in and looked exactly like a bass guitarist for any one of those bands that were playing down there in Deep Ellum, right? Mm-hmm. Like he'd have looked just like him.
Yeah, he could have played bass for sure. I mean, I don't know if Pimpadelic would have let him play bass for him, but I mean, he could have fit in somewhere in the crowd.
I just figured that was probably like his paramount, what he could achieve, maybe bass.
He could do like karaoke at like Vampire.
We could give him a tambourine, maybe.
Cowbell. All right, man. Let's dive into something else. Like we can't
started
just
with
rip on
guns,
Don
and now
all
we've gone
night.
to
Yeah,
deep
I mean,
element
as
Don
much
hate.
fun as that would be, I don't think our audience would love us just ripping on Don because half of these people don't know Don. Dude, tell me about where. I mean, like I get the family history with the gun shop, the hunting ranch, and all that. You've shared with me a couple of times when we've been sitting around bullshitting, drinking, and whatnot. Where did your fascination with knives come in? Because you've gone completely deep in the knife world.
Yeah.
And it's like I was telling Don about the Damas blade I got from Dom Rosso, and I was like, this is the coolest fucking knife I've ever bought. Like, I love carrying it. Like, my Benchmade basically stays as like in my gear, my go bag now. But like the Dom Rosso blade, I carry everywhere with me now. And he was like, oh, you and Terence need to talk. He's like, Terence is a total knife dude. And then I sent you a picture of it, and then you dropped like all this knowledge on me, and you were like, hey, check this out. And you were even showing me like you went and took like, I don't know, you want to call it a course or a class, like you forged your own knife.
Yeah, recently.
Tell us a little bit about that and how you went down that path.
It's about as sharp as that fucking tripod pole in front of us, but so that'll go back into, you know, just kind of whole environment of the knife gun. Like this was the like tactical before it was tactical, right? Like no one could go get their hands on a plate carrier. No one could, you know, EDC world didn't exist, like stuff like that. Just kind of got into it, and it all had to do with Tim, my dad, really. You know, when you're a kid, you can't own a gun. So like we said, people that have guns and knives usually, you know, in whiskey and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So what's the most attainable thing for a child? It's a knife, right? So I can carry a knife with me. I mean, back then I could still carry a knife to school every day, you know, before certain things happen. And
we might have to dive down that road.
Not with me, just in our country. But yeah, so it was so Dad, the first knife I ever had was the first knife I ever had was a little tiny Swiss Army knife, like the original Swiss Army knife brand, Victorinox. Some people on here are gonna say Wegner. Just a little guy. You've seen them before, right? They're itty bitty. They're just got a little nail file, a little tiny blade, and a little pair of scissors on them, right? It's my first knife, very first knife. I was, I don't know, 6, something like that. So, but later, you know, I go to these gun shows and Tyler or Mesquite or whatever with Dad, and I guess at one time he decided that he's like, you know what, my son's old enough to have a knife. Well, guess what? I fucking wasn't, because the first thing I did was stab myself right there in the fucking artery or vein or whatever that blue shit is.
Yeah, you didn't even miss the vein.
Like
maybe
straight
you
across,
been like a nurse or something.
Straight across the room. And
like when the kid got their Red Ryder BB gun, you shoot your eye out.
Yeah, you'll stab your vein out. I did.
Yep.
So anyway, I don't know. I was just kind of always into it, and then I got into, you know, camping and being outdoors, and we had this beautiful property where I grew up. It was all hilly. We had about 500 acres. We had 2 ponds on it. They never froze. We didn't get to play hockey on them. But we would camp and hike in our woods all the time. And it does. I mean, that's a lot of acreage to camp and hike in. Of course, eventually you learn it by like the back of your hand. But if you walked far enough through our woods, this extremely secluded, extremely not well known about like 10-acre lake just appears out of nowhere.
And it's on your land. It's yours.
No, it wasn't. But we were friends with the people that owned it. It was probably about a half mile in from where our property line actually met. So if we pulled up a Google Earth, it would be like
right there.
Yeah. Right. So, but I mean, it's a hike to get there, and it's all overgrown and everything. But to get there, it's there's a beach on it. Like, it's a big lake. It was bigger than our city lake when I grew up, and it was just tucked back in these woods, and no one knew about it. It was obviously, there's extreme historical significance to it. I can't tell you how many bones, pottery, arrowheads, tools that we found there over the years. Every time there's a big rain, you find that stuff. I mean, Tim's still finding them, as of 3 weeks ago, finding arrowhead points this long that are almost completely whole, just tiny chips and beautiful stuff. Now, I wouldn't even want to begin to date them, but, they could be, based on the type, somewhere between 800 to 3,000 years old. And you would expect that for some sort of a civilization to be around that amount of water.
Yeah.
So, shit, where were we going with that? I guess the black tooth was a little stronger than I thought.
Dude, light that domino.
The knives. I'm sorry, the knives. Yeah. The knives.
We'll get into the knives, but light the domino. Throw that shit. Oh, yours is still going, man. Mine, y'all know I'm a draw whore, and
I'll be done with it soon. I'll start soon.
That is the worst Patorio vintage I have ever smoked. I have lit that thing till we ran out of one lighter.
That's literally how much I know about it. I thought it was awesome.
So
maybe yours just sucked. Maybe mine's
cigar.
good.
It still tastes amazing, but it's driving me nuts. I am so tired of relighting that cigar. It's absolutely killing me. Oh, you're so good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So so I'm on to the domino. So for anybody that's wondering, I'm switching gears. Yours is still going miraculously. You've set yours down.
I've only had to relight it 9 times. So
yeah, I was way past you.
So I see. But yeah, so that was, I guess what I was trying to illustrate is the vastness of the property, because we got 400 or 500 acres on my side, and then 1,000 acres on the other side. And that's when I was a kid, we traversed it on foot all the time. So we got to some point where, my relationship with my dad was, let's hang out in the woods. Let's do this. Let's do that and everything. Cause he wasn't an authoritarian like my grandparents were, kind of hey, sit here, do your schoolwork, then you can go play kind of people. It wasn't him. But he'd leave me a note in my room or something. He'd be like, hey, got you something new. Come find it. You got 48 hours, on a weekend or some shit like that. So I just pack my sack and walk into the woods, and he'd leave me clues all over the place. Sometimes it would be as simple as broken twigs, like you're tracking a deer or something. Or sometimes it would be as obvious as a paracord arrow written out on a tree. And if I made it to eventually where I was supposed to get, there'd be usually a knife or machete or whatever with a note, and it was good job, dude, you found it. I'm over here. Come, let's camp out this weekend or some shit like that. So, but that's where it started. And then, just kind of because the crowd that he was around and the people I was around always carried something. And I'm not talking about every now and then I went and bought one of those Smith & Wesson knives or something at Walmart.
Yeah.
And I had one fail on me, and I cut myself extremely badly. And I was old enough to understand at that point, I was like, never buying one of those again. I hate Gerber.
He's not exaggerating. So there was about 4 of us sitting here pre-show, and I just got my Benchmade back because my clip fell off of it, and I was super leery about sending it back for a Benchmade warranties it for life. They'll sharpen it for life for free. I just wanted my same knife back, but my clip fell off. It has 3 screws in it, and somehow miraculously all 3 screws came out. Knife ended up in my pocket, but the clip gone.
Need some Loctite.
Yeah.
The red
but
stuff,
I didn't
not the
have
blue
the
stuff.
clip or the 3 screws. Like, it all came out at once. So I finally sent it back, and I was telling them this about it. So I went out and got it out of my truck, brought it back in, and was showing them. And then I showed them my Dom knife. And between 2 guys, your dad and Don Brooks, I don't know, 5 knives came out of nowhere. I mean, I'm just saying, I think 5. Even this really cute one you did your dad, where you like tied this like cute little bracelet like this that my wife makes fun of me for. Where you, like,
yeah, fucking
little,
snake knot lanyard.
Yeah,
I hate that shit. My brain doesn't understand how, like, spatial thinking, I hate that stuff.
yeah. So yeah, like you're not exaggerating. Like, I know how much knives have been around you, because literally, I think your dad pulled out 2, Don pulled out at least 3. And I was like, the fuck? And I know Don has a gun on him. I mean, he'd never not have a gun on him. So he's got 3 knives and a gun. I'm like, all right, John Wick, let's roll.
I have 4 on me right now, but it was mainly because I thought we were going to talk about this, and I wanted to maybe have something to showcase if you asked, but also
Perfect, let's rock.
would love to give one of my boys a shameless plug too.
Yeah, please do.
So anyway, let's start with it this way. So usually I carry some kind of a utility knife on my right side, just because I've been doing it since I was 12, right? It's just, my pocket feels weird if I don't have a knife in it. And let me back up a little bit. And at a certain point, because these things can be ridiculously priced. And again, there's, like I said, I'm not going to buy a $19 knife at Academy or Walmart that may fail on me when I need it and stab myself in the arm again.
Gerber.
Yeah.
I have one Gerber. It stays in my truck. And the only reason it's in my truck, before I watched Jason Redmond loves to do just the tip. And he gives the tip of the day. But this Gerber knife has a glass break on the back end of it. It's the only reason it's in my truck. Not that if you were in a really bad wreck, you would probably be able to find that knife in the center console. But it's there, so it's like my backup to my backup. But that's the only reason I still keep that knife.
I carry a company called Glow Rhino. Just a little tritium vial inside of, I assume it's steel, might be titanium, but it's pointed like a glass breaker too.
I just got this one from Redmond. It was one of his tips of the day. I got one for my wife and me. The only problem is it didn't have the visor clip, so I gotta call SIG and figure out getting the visor clip. But it's literally when you can put on your visor so that your visor is probably gonna stay there.
Yeah, it's probably not going anywhere.
So it's got the seatbelt rip.
Yeah.
And then it's got the glass break with the punch on it. And I mean, it's literally about that big and about that wide, but you literally clip it on the edge of your visor.
See, that's
you have it.
There's a place for that tool. I don't need you to put it on my fucking knife.
I don't need to carry it all day.
Right. I don't need that. And actually bracelets like that. There's a company that makes things with little carbide. Mm-hmm. You just, you shoot the little paper wads at people. Remember that rubber bands? You just, it'll shatter glass. But oh shit.
Nice save.
Anyway, so there's something between that. This is a piece of crap. It will probably cut open mail and packages, but if I ever use it for hard use, and you should be prying shit with knife, unless it's designed for that anyway. But beyond that, you don't have to spend $19 or $300. There's a medium in there somewhere where, it's not extremes one way or another. But so Benchmade in particular, do you know what the butterfly tax is?
Yeah.
Right. So for those of you that don't know, here's a Benchmade. Benchmade's thing has always been, I don't know if they can see that, probably not, but
they might be able to.
There's a butterfly on it. So when Benchmade started getting extremely popular, because they've been around since the late 80s, but when they became, somebody that now it's the most cloned knife in the world. Biz, you got a Benchmade over there? Oh, that was a lighter. I sounded like a knife click. They started doing their own mat pricing, and which means it's kind of like Oakley. Like, unless it's on sale or something, you can't sell their product for less than they tell you what they can sell it.
Yeah.
And it's gone up and up and up and up. Like, you want to sell Benchmade knives, you will sell this knife for $320, no less, or we're not going to be your vendor anymore. And there are like, so this one in particular, we'll use this as an example because it's a great example.
Yeah.
I didn't think that this was a great knife until I held one at a gun show, Wanamaker in Tulsa, actually, that massive 11-acre thing.
Yeah.
I saw one at Shields. It was $530. I was like, are you kidding me for a Benchmade? Mm-hmm. And I saw one at about $445 at that show. And I was like, I got to see one of these. I got to see what the deal is. And you can see, I mean,
Yeah, just for example, this is
it's razor thin.
This is my Benchmade. Same thing. Butterfly.
Yeah, that's an Osborne.
They redid the clip. They also laser engraved for me.
That's a reverse Tonto 941 Osborne. I was just about to ask you if it had blue backspacers. And yeah, I've owned this knife before.
It's the only thing that pisses me off. So I sent it back to them. These screws were blue.
Before?
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
They were blue, if I recall correctly. And I may be wrong, but
I've never seen one like that.
I'm
but
pretty sure because like they got the blue backspacers there.
I had that exact knife. And
this was a gift to me. This was like shout out Bill Armfield. Not that you're watching this, but this was a Christmas present that he got me one year, and I carried this forever.
It's one of my favorites that they've ever done. It'll segue nicely into what I'm going to say about Benchmade. But look at the thickness is almost the same, but look at your blade real estate.
Yeah.
Comparatively, right? And that's just technology. That's just everybody getting better at making knives. It's the same lock system. Mine looks different, but they're still both Benchmade Axis locks. And I was hesitant.
Do you like that style?
Love
push?
it. One of the best locks.
I mean, I still like that's one of my favorite things about this knife.
Yeah, it's one of the best locks that was ever created. The only other is, I don't think I have a frame lock. I didn't bring my bag in, or I do, but Benchmade in particular, since they're probably the biggest name in knives besides Spyderco, when you're talking about premium or mid-premium knives, not the stuff you buy at Academy. They do offer that service. I mean, and many times I've had a Benchmade fail through hard use. Yeah. And I've been able to send it back to them, and sometimes they've even replaced the knife.
Yeah.
And I think it costs $5.
Yeah,
you buy Benchmade,
$5.95. Shipping back.
Yeah.
That's it.
And they put their factory edge back on it as much as they can.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you're a good knife sharpener or not, but that shit is not easy.
No, it sucks. No, I bought this really badass knife sharpener, but my wife, it's like nails on a chalkboard. She can't stand to hear it. Like, I was sharpening our kitchen knives with it, but yeah, like, and same thing, like the Dom blade. I'll show this one too.
See, there we go. I gotta light the thing again. You want me to just skip it and move to the Panda?
I would.
Okay.
I mean, if it was me.
I feel left out, man. I should have brought my only fancy knife I got. If you heard of a company called Cabot, they make the really fancy 1911s.
Yeah.
I have a Cabot knife, like it's like made out of some metal from space or something.
That's cool.
It's cool.
I mean, I've been trying to get I'd go to Half Face Blades.
Yeah,
he does amazing custom work, but man, they have a drop every now. He's in San Diego, I believe, but they make amazing custom hand knives, and they make all kinds of knives, but they're all handmade. They're badass, but he does a drop every Saturday. I think it's noon or 1 o'clock here.
He's like the Michael Jordan.
He does,
guy.
man.
You gotta get on there, man, and you can't care about price. you just kind of gotta like, as soon as it pops up, you gotta click and just be like, buy. Because if you hesitate for a second,
they're out of there.
It's gone. I mean, like, it sucks. And Joseph, I'm gonna get back to some of these comments because I don't want to like.
Oh, Joseph broke it down, but yeah,
Joseph,
get onto the knives.
I completely agree with you about the Patoro. I love this cigar. Like, I've smoked a shit ton of these. I bought a box of these, and I love Patoro. Richard Pablo is like, Pichardo is amazing what he does. That particular cigar, man, like, I can't keep that damn thing lit. Like, and y'all watch me. I mean, I'm over here smoking on it. Like, he's like gotten into the interview just like most guests do, and not stayed on it.
I'm trying not to fuck up, really.
He's lit it like 8 or 9 times. I have this much left. I mean, we burnt out an entire lighter. That's never happened on this show. Like, I pulled another one of my personals out, like, just so we could keep cigars lit. Like, I got an oddity. Like, I'm not bashing it. It still, it tasted amazing. It just, man, like, that one will not smoke.
If it had been in reverse, his would have been done 25 minutes ago. Yeah, but since I've been slow playing mine, I think he did get like a one-off because mine's been fantastic.
Yeah, it's totally a one-off. Not knocking them, not shitting on Patoro in any way, shape, or form. Like, absolutely love Patoro cigars. I just got a particular bad one. I don't know what else to say about that. And yes, my lovely wife, I agree with you. Being in Deep Ellum with Dawn is a whole different experience and makes life a lot easier. You feel a lot safer. And yes, that badge provides him extra things.
It absolutely does.
You know, like, you never feel unprepared or unsafe when Did
he text you and say, "Hey, defend me. They're talking a lot of shit about me over there"?
Yeah, I don't know if
No, did he text Sarah? Did he text Sarah?
Me. He better just comment.
No, did he text Sarah?
I don't know. Sarah, you have to comment on that. But what I was going to get to is, like, this is my favorite, like, everyday carry. This is Dom Rosso, who
Dynamic Solutions, right?
Dynamic Solutions. I would love to have him on the show someday. He is on my like top 10 people to sit down and have a chat with. This is Dom Rosso. This grip is probably the best grip I've ever felt on a knife. I don't know how much you guys can see that on there. He literally formed and patented this grip with Play-Doh. He grabbed his kid's Play-Doh and made something that just felt amazing in his hand.
They're incredible.
He's got, he was a Navy SEAL. He did CIA stuff. He's done all kinds of amazing shit. If you want to look up Dom Rosso, look it up. They have amazing customer support too. You guys have seen me wear my Silent Night shirt. That's Dom Rosso. But yeah, these his blades. He has another one. I don't dive, but if you were a diver, he has one called the Neptune. It's a badass knife. If
obviously very corrosion resistant.
And everything he makes is so that you can carry it. It's easy, quick access if you need to defend yourself. Like, Dom Rosso makes some amazing shit.
How'd you find out about him?
How did I find out about Dom Rosso? I'm going to have to give Sean Ryan probably credit for that because I think it was when I loved Sean Ryan's podcast. Another person I would love to sit down with. Sean Ryan is doing things that if I'm going to watch the news, I want to watch the Sean Ryan 60 Minutes.
Okay.
Like what he's putting out there, what he's uncovering, what he's speaking about, I think is absolutely amazing. And I'm pretty sure it was when I watched Dom Rosso on Sean Ryan's show. And I was like, oh, cool. I want to check this dude out. Like, he gifted Sean, I think it was the Neptune blade. And I saw it. And I went back and forth because that's about a $500 blade.
Yeah.
And you know, I was like, $500 for a knife, like shit. Like I love my Benchmade, but like,
well,
man,
there's
but
okay,
like,
so
a Benchmade's not made to defend yourself. It's more of a utility knife.
And with the way that the prices are going now, and there's obviously been, you know, a huge influx in the EDC community, and just watching it over a couple of years, Benchmade in particular, and believe me, I'm no Benchmade fanboy. I'm just saying they're always going to be on the cutting edge, pun intended, of innovation and materials, and just because they're huge, they're one of the biggest in the world. But now where prices are getting to meet, and now I'm talking specifically about folders.
Yeah,
Emerson, Spyderco, Benchmade, Kershaw for a lower end one, Zero Tolerance, Chavez, McNeese, any of these knives are all ProTech, Microtech. They're the best in the business when it comes to folders, but making a fixed blade knife, especially material removal, is not that hard. Excuse me. It's very hard. I don't want to discredit anybody, but it's not that hard to, for instance, my friend that I'll show you the knife here in a second, my friend, this guy I know at Auxiliary Manufacturing, Michael Jarvis, makes incredible knives, and it's all material removal. It's not a piece of steel like I did at the class I told you about, where you go bang out a 6-inch by 3/18 inch piece of steel into a knife.
Yeah, it's literally like when you all watch that show on like the Discovery Channel where they're like knife warriors and they're like making
most
like,
of it.
He legit has done that. Like he's like forged his own knife.
Most of it is you start with a blank, right, and you have a badass belt sander. And you create your own designs. And of course there's heat tempering and everything that you have to do yourself. But the folders, that's weird to me, because I will still pay a lot of money for a titanium folder with super premium steel built by a company that I know if that thing fails will back it up until the end of time. Just like Benchmade. Warranty. That's the butterfly tax that Benchmade has. Like, they have created a name where they're allowed to do that because they back their product up. Not saying that an independent maker would, but there's no pedigree there, right? Yeah. Now, fixed blades like that are a completely different story. Yeah. Like this one, which I carry appendix usually, was also Ox Manufacturing, the guy that I talked about. He calls that a bottle rocket.
Yeah.
I carry that.
I love the wrap.
Often. I mean, and that's kind of a testament to someone built a tool.
Yeah.
For defense. They didn't build something to be pretty. I mean, it still is pretty.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's a beautiful knife.
Yeah, he built something to be a tool. And you know, I like carrying a large knife because I'm not a knife fighting expert, folks. I never will be. I've never been in a knife fight in my life, and I hope to never be in one because both people usually get cut. But there is a psychological aspect to having a large knife if someone were to confront you.
Yeah.
And it's probably not legally if some DA really wanted to get into it.
It's over 3.5
but less. It's not a gun.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't present a gun on somebody.
You're not drunk carrying a gun.
It's
with a
right. It's different, but not different at the same time.
There's a fine line there, and we're not giving legal advice on this or anything like that. No, not
at all. Please.
We're just saying like this is what we do. This is how we approach everyday life.
Right, and it's just like that. That Dynamic Solutions. It's his take on what he think can be the most utilitarian blade for defense, for use, comfortable carry that you can carry every day. And that world has really crept up, and I found it through Instagram, surprisingly.
Yeah.
I started, and I found these makers, and there's a lot of amazing craftsmen out there. Michael Jarvis, Greg Moffitt.
Yeah. I lean towards the guy,
I'd rather spend, if I'm going to spend $500 a knife, I'd rather give it to one of those dudes that has an established pedigree instead of giving it to Benchmade, in a way.
I'm of the same mindset, but I maybe take it a step further. You know, like Jason Redmond's, you know, it's someone I call a friend. You know, he sacrificed a lot. I mean, the dude was shot in the face defending our country. Guys that have real combat experience like that have seen shit that like
something
we
probably
can't
you or I
even
will never do.
imagine. And you know, you listen to somebody like Jocko or Leaf Babin from Echelon Front, or even JP Donnell. You know, when they talk about leadership and the battlefield stuff, like they tell you, like they spend countless hours preparing for a mission. But and you know, like, and these missions are highly defined to the T of what they're going to do.
Right.
How they're going to do it, when they're going to do it, why they're going to do it. I mean, everything. But going in, they know that shit's going to go wrong. Like, they're going to have, like, something is going to get fucked up, and they're going to have to step back, make another decision, and they still have to keep the overall mission in mind. And they've got a plan for that. So to me, it adds extra value, and maybe this is just my personal opinion, but to me, if you're talking about a Jason Redmond, a JP Donnell, a Jocko, a Leaf Babin, you know, any of these guys, like, you know, I mean, just name them, Half-Faced Blades, any of these guys, Dom Rosso, these guys have served on like the most elite teams of defense that we have in the United States.
Right.
And if they say, I wish I'd have had this tool available to me, because out of what they get to choose when you're in an elite operations force of what they're carrying, and they're limited to carrying certain things, right? Like you can only carry so much ammo. You can only carry this many
every ounce matters.
ARs, right? You can carry this many pistols. You got this many grenades. You got this guy with the bazooka, you know, whatever. If he's saying like, I wish I had this knife, and that like I had this and I was good, like I'm in. I'm like, all right, like that's battlefield tested. Like I want to carry this shit for whatever reason, but like tell me the reasons, which that's why I like Dom's stuff, because like Dom tells you like he's even got like plastic replicas so like you can do his knife training courses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like God forbid you should actually have to use it. But kind of like you were saying earlier too, like you pull something like that out, like now the dude that was trying to be Billy Badass is like, oh shit, I really got to confront or deal with some shit now. Like this dude just pulled out like a badass blade on me. Like I was ready to just street fight this guy. And like maybe you get out of the whole situation because you showed that. Yeah. That's why I'm also like, I'm totally against the like open, like you want the right to open carry, like cool. The whole point of getting a CHL is like, they don't need to know what you're carrying.
Well, how long has that been around now in Texas now? 4 years?
Like 4, yeah.
And how often do you see it? Like maybe once every couple of 100 days?
Unless
you see somebody
watch
open
certain
carrying?
news channels. I mean, like, yeah, you don't see it very often. I mean, like
we live in Texas. Everybody thinks that.
I saw it more because I was doing a lot of work in Arizona, and that's been around in Arizona for a lot longer.
Louisiana too.
Yeah, like Louisiana, Arizona, like that's been around a lot longer. And you literally like watch some dude that literally looks like a bum, and he's carrying Dirty Harry on his side, and you're at like 7-Eleven trying to buy a Gatorade or something, and like this dude's got like shit strapped all on both sides and shit, and you're like, what's this dude's problem? Like that's freaky.
But there's a culture too, and I understand that one of them is a weapon and the other is not. But I'm going to make this analogy: is there are people that really appreciate the craftsmanship and workmanship of what it takes to make a nice 1911 or a nice revolver or anything. It's, like more oftentimes I don't see some guy walking around with a Glock 19, which I have one, but it stays away.
Yeah.
In a Black Hawk Serpa holster. It's usually some guy walking around with a beautiful Dan Wesson or Wilson Combat 1911 style gun in a nice hand tooled. It's part of their ensemble, man. And it's just like the same thing as walking around with a nice watch. You have something that you're proud of, that you appreciate the craftsmanship of, and you want to show it off a little bit. I see that far more often, especially here in Texas, than I do just see like some guy, carrying around a Ruger Hellcat, Springfield Hellcat. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that, that makes it, I guess it's okay because I don't know. We weren't prepared to have a political conversation here today, with all the black tooths and all the bullshit. But I'm just saying, it's like if you're proud of it, and you want to show it. But
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I wonder how much this applies to your field in the oil and gas, because I'm in construction. And this is something I battle with and that I kind of think is bullshit too. And yet I don't conform to this or do this necessarily, but you hear, hey, if I have one business partner that pulls up in his Range Rover at a job site, because we're meeting with ownership and management and everything else like that, they're like, go park that shit down the street. Like, don't show that.
I know where you're going with this. Yeah, it's absolutely a thing.
Go park that down the street. And let's just say I'm just throwing out bullshit numbers off the top of my head. Let's say it's $150,000 Range Rover.
Okay.
Then my other partner pulls up in an F450 dually.
It's $150,000 too.
Decked out, that is maybe even a $200,000 truck. And I'm driving a Ford Raptor, which nowadays is a $110,000 truck. $100,000, depending on who you talk to. But point being made here that they're like, hey, they're cool with the trucks because that says construction. But that Range Rover, they're like, no, you're not going to have a chance on this bid because they're going to think you're charging too much money. Same kind of thing too.
Is it? Do you think they're charging too much money, or they're?
No, but that's what that's.
Or do you think they're not like you? Like, in a way, they're like, oh, this pretentious prick in his Range Rover can't drive a truck like the rest of us.
I think it's more just the show of money or what's in their mind.
We all know how much an F-250 costs these days.
But, I guess some of these people don't and would say otherwise, because if you knew the values, that F-450 is more than the Range Rover.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So you're okay with that pulling in and seeing this big ass dude get out of an F-450, but the Range Rover, you got other ownership here, that's off limits. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing if I dress too nice on a property, if I'm going to do a walk, let's just say it's normal time of year, jeans, polo, maybe an Element hat, Element polo. I'm showing up looking nice. Maybe I have a really nice pair of Luke Casey boots on, and I show up. That's totally fine.
Well, yeah, because the type of person you're talking about is going to appreciate the boots more than anything.
Right.
I have a perfect example of this when you're done, by the way.
Cool. And I could be wearing whatever watch, that doesn't really matter. I'm not going to get any shit about that. But if I showed up in a custom suit, something nice, or even just a really nice button-up, slacks, nice dress shoe, some Ferragamos. Maybe I have my Rolex on, and I rock that in there.
Which I know you have all those things.
They're gonna be like, they're gonna be like, get the fuck out of here.
Absolutely.
Like, do not like come on the property looking like that. But like, really, why? Like, why would you not want to promote somebody that like really cares, that's taking care of themselves, doing these things, like, and support that? Like, wouldn't that say like, yeah, man, I definitely want to do business with that guy? Because if you were the car salesman doing that, probably a different story.
Well, yeah, that was the product
But
you're
like,
selling.
you know, like it's the product you're selling. But like, how do you look at that in oil gas? Because like you got your really country bumpkin generational wealth that like the family owns 10,000 acres, and you're
more money than you'll ever make at the company you work
like,
for.
They have ungodly amounts of money, and you're like going out there, but you're meeting with this old devil dog Marine Corps dude that has this land, and you want to talk about drilling on it or setting windmills. I mean, who cares what it actually is?
I think
but like you're doing that, or if you're going to something corporate, whatnot, like, do you worry about that? I mean, like, I know what you're wearing on your wrist right now, but like, do you worry about that? Is that something that comes in for sales or presentation for you on that end?
So the thing about what we do is certainly that you're a salesman. Like, I understand that, you know, if I come to you and I say I want to buy your property, I'm really trying to sell you that I want to buy your property. Yeah. So yeah, the chameleon aspect of it exists. I have to, you know, someone in that world would have to try and identify with you to establish some sort of rapport. You can't show up to, like you said, bumpkin, I don't know is the right word, but let's just use that. Mm-hmm. You don't want to go to someone that sees value in their $180,000 truck that can pull everything they ever, 15 bales of hay or 100 bales of cotton or whatever it is. I'm not a towing wizard. Yeah. Like, I don't know, but,
no, but how do you differentiate that? Like, how
I think it's pretty easy, man. Like, you just gotta, first of all, it's regional, right?
So but then again, you change it regionally.
Well, yeah, but then again, like, I've shown up, like I said about the boots, right? Mm-hmm. Like, someone, because Lucchese has a very distinct pattern on most of their boots, right? They created the original snip toe. Like, someone that knows Lucchese boots and knows how quality they are, because I have Lucchese boots that have lasted me 10 years, 15 years, right? Like, it's not.
I will shout out because I'd love to be sponsored by Luke Casey. Like,
they're
Casey boots, like, they don't have to be broken in. Like,
Luke Casey, like stepping into a vagina.
Yeah, you put them on and you can wear them, and like, they don't kill your feet. They look amazing. They feel amazing.
But everybody knows what they are.
Yeah.
Just like a nice watch, just like a nice car. And you really, I guess the big thing is to try and determine ahead of that meeting is what those people put value in, right? Mm-hmm. So if it's a farmer, like, you think he gives a shit about your Jaguar or your watch? No, he cares about, you know, footwear you're showing up in, and you know, wants to see that you're a worker.
One of them.
I'm overgeneralizing because I've never been in that experience. Okay. I will tell you this. Okay. For example,
give us a real life, like, you've been in that situation. Like, either you got this lead or you have to go do this specific plot of land, and I don't know what kind of research you do beforehand on that person that owns the land. Maybe talk a little bit about that, and then how you go into that, because I think that's important for anybody that's wanting to do what you do.
It's really common sense. It's look, man.
Not everybody has that. That's why we have this podcast.
Then they probably shouldn't be in this fucking business, honestly.
Bam.
If you can't figure that out, like, look, if you're going to go to Robstown, South Texas, and you're going to show up in a fancy car and get out in a suit, you don't need to be there, which is something I learned the very first day. So I went out for my first landowner meeting. The person that was training me took me. I'd just come from a job in finance. I say finance. I work for New York Life. I was selling insurance and doing financial planning. Barely just got my license for that stuff. And I got out of oil and gas, got into that. That's what I was doing in the interim between golf and oil and gas.
Yeah.
And I showed up and I was like, you know what? This is a very important meeting. I had my nice, what was it at the time? Joseph A. Bank. I was waiting on that first check so I could bump up to Brooks Brothers, or whatever it was. My suit, I mean, it looked good. I had it tailored. I didn't look like a slob. I didn't have 19 buttons like Steve Harvey or some shit. But I looked nice, and I showed up, and I was like, I'm ready to go meet this guy. And they're like, you are all fucked. We have to go to Cavender's right now. So we went to Cavender's, got me a nice pearl snap shirt, put on some good Levi's 527 boot cuts, and they bought me a pair of boots. Not Lucchese's that day. I think I was wearing Tony Lamas. Yeah. But they were ostrich. Yeah. And we went out, and I'm like, all right, who the fuck are we meeting that's this important? Like, who could possibly care that I wasn't showing up to give this? Remember, that's the other thing. I'm not trying to sell him anything. I'm trying to give him money for his land. Yeah. Like, here's a $250,000 check to come across your land. They're going to worry about how I look? You don't understand, right? So, anyways, this is Nueces County. We're just outside of Nueces County. And we go down there, and he's like, go to the gate off of this. I'll meet you there at the bottom of his ranch. And we went to that gate. We're like, hey, we're here. And the guy's like, well, where are you? Because I'm sitting here too. Like, we're sitting right at the gate. And he's like, what road did you come in off? And we're like, oh, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, whatever arbitrary road. Yeah. And he's like, oh, shit, y'all went to the wrong gate. You're at the south gate. I'm at the north gate. I'll see y'all in 45 minutes. I'm like, what? And it was like, yeah, he's got to drive across his ranch. It took him 45 minutes to drive from one end of his ranch to the other to come meet us. Shit. And I'm thinking, like, who's this fucking dude? Like, he cares about what I'm wearing? He didn't need our damn money. 10,000 acres.
Think about it. 45 minutes to drive across your ranch.
Yeah.
That's massive.
That's the difference in
that's like driving from Dallas to Fort Worth.
It's like almost Fort Worth to Abilene, Yeah. Like a little more desolate, but, well, maybe not Abilene, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, so, like, why would he be concerned about the money we're bringing him or what we were, but when I got in the car with him and, another example, one of my first days, like later that week, actually, this guy, construction crews are, you're in construction crews on pipelines are a problem. Yeah. They are always messing up. They're always not following instructions, and cows get out all the time. I didn't know there were so many cows in the country until I started working in this business. It's like every day is like, my cows got out. I'm like,
for cows gone.
Oh my God, another one? Yeah. So guy calls me at 4:30 in the morning. He's like, Terence, my cows got out. Come help me get them. I'm like, what? This is like my second week on the job. I'm like, what? So I show up at this house. I'm still sleepy-eyed. I was like, all right, what are we doing? He's like, puts me on a horse. He's like, there's your ride. And he points at a four-wheeler. I was like, what, are you out of horses? And he's like, can you ride? And I'm like, we already talked about that story. I was like, yeah, a little bit. So I jumped on a horse, and we wrangled cows all day that got out because we were doing pipeline construction on his land. And that really struck a chord with that dude. He was a key part of that pipeline, and he wouldn't talk to anybody else but me for years. Like, even after, he was like, no, you need to call Terence Chaney, like a different company. And I'd have to bridge the gap and introduce him, everything. But, just that little show of, hey, we're same. Mm-hmm. I understand my company has billions of dollars and you got basically nothing, even though we're giving you some money. Like, it mattered to him. Yeah. So, I mean, that's
to save his livelihood.
Now, on the other side of the thing, the second part of it, I'll tell you that I was going through Arizona, and you can Google this all yourselves and look up who it was. This is very obvious. It's in southern Arizona, before Tucson. One of those nut people, the shapes like emerald or diamond or whatever, is one of those guys. And I found out real quickly what a full-grown pecan tree costs when you cut it down, because we had to cut down about 30 of them. They're about $20,000 a tree. Whew. Now, I had my... I thought that I was going back into the business world, and I was going to be driving back and forth from El Paso to Dallas a lot. And so I bought my very first like cool car. I bought a Jaguar F-Pace. And I was so happy ripping down I-20.
You didn't go diesel?
And I showed up the first day and I could tell he was put off by me, even though I was in all my gear, you know, FR boots and all that, pants and everything to meet him. But he did say something to me the next time. And the dude was wearing a Rolex. So it's not always about the watch. It's about what people appreciate, right?
Yeah.
He just didn't like my car. Because the next time I showed up, I had a Ram Rebel, a 2017 all black one. And one of the last things he said to me when I was leaving, he was like, I like your new car better, Terence. So, so yeah, it's just trying to match up with the same, but also it's just being real with people, you know?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be the flash or the cash.
No. And they never, you know, you got to go into every one of those negotiations expecting they're like, oh God, here's some Dallas douchebag or Houston dickhole trying to come and get my land from me and screw me out of this and screw me out of that and never let me.
And they're going to fuck up my land and do all
Yeah,
this.
they're going to leave trash all over the place. And you know, I really, and something I've kind of made my career on is trying to be growing up where I did and having all the land that I did is try and be, you know, cognizant of. It was like, I understand that we're going to pay you for it, but it's still your land. You still have to look at it.
Yeah.
And as long as I always keep that in the back of my mind, like I may get fired from whatever company I'm working for, but I'll find another job.
Yeah.
But I very much like who I work for now.
Yeah. I mean,
if anyone's listening,
that makes, he's definitely listening, or he might be even out there with your boy band group out there that's here to support you.
Well, I needed the support because let me tell you, this is a little unnerving. These lights are incredibly hot. I was hot when I got here.
Thank you.
Jeans are
Thank you.
were a bad choice, but I was afraid that if I wore shorts, y'all have to adjust your lighting because I have like the golfer leg going on.
Thank you. I bitch about this shit all the time, and he's like, they're not hot, they're LED, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, dude, you are fucking blasting me, bro. And he's like,
there's nothing on, it's your mind. It is bright.
Get me a laser thermometer.
yeah, like
He's probably
Jonathan
right,
Watkins, if you're listening, I want a temp gauge. Like, this reminds me like the first time that like my buddy Kelly Vaughn put me on stage to play guitar. No one realizes when a band is playing on stage and you have all those lights on you, how fucking hot it is.
Because those are actually
like,
bulb part
that
cans. These
shit
are LEDs.
blasts you.
That,
But like, you,
I don't know,
you
man. It feels
still-
pretty hot.
Yeah. you
Garrett's
just
computer
feel-
screen is probably as warm as
you
his
are
light.
Is it? Oh, I'm getting the heat off that
I'm
seat,
literally
Terrence.
like, go touch it. Like literally stand up and go to. Now Garrett can go ahead and drop me about 3,500. We get some lights that emit no heat.
It's just hot over here. It's not hot at the source. It
you wanna go
radiates.
there? We can go
Are you
there.
giving me radiation poisoning?
Not at all.
Am I feeling the heat from that Edison bulb behind your head?
That's probably way warmer than this.
You're probably right.
I don't know.
Warmer
But what
than
people
this.
don't understand is like these things are literally about 3 feet from our face, and it's like it lights it up for everybody to see us really well.
Light
but
is the
it just
key.
feels like you are like on blast.
Because they're just focused in your face.
Yeah, they're just in your face. Like
Well,
that,
we're
that's what it
literally
is. They're
putting
not
fire
actually,
sticks in our face too. So
Yeah, they're not actually hot.
They're not.
But your mind tells you that you are on blast.
Yes.
Because they are 3 feet from
It
our
is
face right now.
psychological.
Yeah, totally psychological. But that's what it is. But I think that's funny that, not funny, but I think that's a great approach for sales from your standpoint. Like, I get pissed off even when we're doing like one of these paid hunts where we're taking clients out and say we're going on a dove hunt and we get out in this field and we set up the landowner, farmer, whatever tells us like, all right, we're going to set you up over here today and you're going to be over here in this corner. And you start walking around and it's like, you can see where the last like 4 guys set, like there's spent shell casings like everywhere. And it's like, really, bro? Like, you left this like this? Like, I'm always the guy like walking around picking this shit up, throwing it in my bucket so that I can like, my seat is a bucket.
That you can put your shell cases in.
Put your shells in. So
I think we all wear vests or belts too.
Yeah,
that you can put those in also.
so like you throw that shit in there, and it's like, really, dude, like this guy just let you hunt his land. He's got a honey hole. He plants the right shit. He's letting you out here.
Yeah, so perfect. It's a same situation. You paid him to do this, but also it's still his land, right?
Yeah, show some respect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, that's something that we deal with. I mean, I'll move it to hunting. Like people leaving toilet paper all over the place and everything. We don't even talk about oil and gas. It's just in general. Like people don't really have respect for other people's property, especially if you paid for it. Like I know there's two very different classes of people in the world. Is like, hey, I'm paying you for this, so I get to do whatever I want to do. Mm-hmm. But hey, I'm paying you for this. Thank you for the opportunity is the other side of it, right?
What do you think the percentage of that is? Like,
unfortunately, skewed way too far
like 70,
to the former. Yeah.
Yeah, like 30% are like, thank you so much. We really had a great time. They took care of the shit. The other 70% is just like, fuck you, I paid for it.
I mean, it's like in public spaces too. It's like the difference in people that will drop trash or walk to a trash can. Like same kind of thing.
I mean, it's the same thing. Like, I mean, I have a client that like every time we go to a punch, like it drives me nuts. Like I know my guys haven't done their final punch, they haven't done their final clean, all this stuff, but like when I'm walking around with them, man, like I get handfuls of trash. Like if I see some shit laying on the ground, like I pulled up a bottle that I guarantee you, like it ended up being like an entire beer bottle that was in the ground and like half a brick. And like picked it up and like, and you know what? He actually said something like the last time we were walking around the building. He's like, "Hey man, I really appreciate that." And I'm like, "Dude, like trash is trash. Like it's got to get cleaned up at some point. Like whether it's our trash, your tenant's trash, or whatever. Like I'm not leaving this job site like where it can even be questioned that like that's my guy's shit." Like, that's just part of the game. Like, you don't walk around like you watch, like, in multifamily, especially, like, man, nothing pisses me off more to, like, see, like, my guys get ahead of the ownership or management group and they walk right past some trash. And then I watch that owner or that manager or that RVP or whoever pick up something. And then they're carrying it with them until we get to the next trash receptacle or the dog bin basket or whatever to throw it in there. It shit drives me absolutely insane.
And you know,
like, care about it a little bit.
Well,
like
to go back to oil and gas, there are landowners out there, even with, you know, their thousands of acres, they'll sit out there and watch, and they'll make, you know, comments or requests or even sometimes demands, you know, like, hey, you're not going to build this pipeline or infrastructure or whatever it is unless you use this contractor, because I've watched them before. And they're like, well, sorry, we're not going to use them. And they're like, okay, well, your price just fucking doubled then. And what are you going to do as, you know, oil and gas company A that's like, you're like, okay, guess we'll pay it. Like, because they're protecting a relationship when really what you should be doing is protecting the relationship with the landowner. Because here's the thing, I argue with engineers about this shit all the time. They're like, well, hey, look, the slope is better here for hydraulics if we do that. I'm like, that's in the middle of their property. And they're like, so we can't put the infrastructure in the middle of their property. We cut off acres of them having their access to their land and put it on the edge. And they're like, well, we're going to lose, you know, X amount of barrels a day on that. And you're like, I'm sorry. Like, they said no. Like, but just, I'm like, dude, they own the land. They said no. We have no project without the landowner. So maybe just do what they want. Like, a lot of the time, oil and gas, I'm probably shooting myself in the foot here by saying this, but I don't believe that the companies that I work for do this, but they're very fair. But a lot of companies out there are like, we don't care what the landowner says, just throw more money at them. But when you run into those people we're talking about,
it's not about money.
That don't need the money, like, you don't have a project without them saying yes. You have nothing if you don't have land. You cannot put a pipeline on somebody unless they say, yes, you can buy my land to put the pipeline in.
Yeah.
It can't happen.
Yeah. So
you can do it, but then you get nailed with a trespass and it gets tied up for 4 years or whatever until they figure out the trespass.
What's the hardest no you've had to overcome?
It wasn't necessarily no. I love telling this story, so I'm gonna tell it again. We were working an energy transfer project. Everybody knows who Energy Transfer is, right? The biggest energy company in the world. And we got to a tract of land, or a portion of land that was University of Texas, who's the second largest landholder in the state of Texas. Can't remember who the first is. I believe it's Texas Pacific Land and Trust, and the third is like Procter and Gamble. It's very weird that they own as much land as they do in Texas. Yeah. I don't know if they're from Texas. I don't know anything about Procter and Gamble except they make hand creams and soaps and shit. But we got to University of Texas and
that was your freebie, Don.
We basically got on the end of a table. It's like a movie. It's like this 20-foot beautiful mahogany polished table, and there's about 8 people sitting at the other end, all University of Texas attorneys, businessmen, whatever. And me and my partner were sitting on the other end, literally,
opposite of a really long mahogany badass table.
And they might as well have unzipped, pulled it out, and thrown it on the damn table, and been like, "This is the University of Texas. You will do what we tell you to do. We are not negotiating. Sign this. This is how much money we want." And we were like, "Okay." And then we took that back to our little shitty contractor company that we were working for. And they're obviously some idiots that didn't know what they were doing. They were like, "Oh, no, if we pay them that much, we're going to lose all our bonuses." I was like, "Dude, it's 37 contiguous miles. In our industry, we generally consider about $1 million per mile on a reroute. So not only do you have so we're looking at, $50 million, and they didn't want to pay them $4.5 million so they could protect their bonuses. Well, needless to say, they were fired once we got that information back to ETC. So yeah. They were like, wait. They were like, just pay them so we can put this pipeline in. It was 300 miles. It was from Pecos to Juarez.
What's a really hard no, though, that you had to overcome? Where maybe you thought it was completely a squash deal, but with a little bit more, you were able to turn it into a stepping stone instead of a roadblock.
It happens all the time. There are people out there that you form bad relationships with, or some predecessor normally before you, and you have to go in and deal with it. And I understand exactly what you're doing now. So yeah, sometimes we utilize people that have great relationships in certain areas to help us get through that as a company. But I can't think of one in particular that we got through, just because there have been so many. There are so many people that say absolutely no, but then everybody has a different motive, right?
Yeah.
And usually it's money. And sometimes
what's been the greatest influence of a mentor, and how have you gone about approaching that mentorship or building that relationship with that person that you wanted to teach you a little more?
When I started?
Any point in time in your career. I've had several, so I can think about multiple ones through different points of my life. So maybe what's one for you? Everybody always says I want a mentor. Well, how did you find somebody to mentor you or teach you, or who did you seek out? Why? And then how did you build that relationship to where they wanted to take you under their wing and show you the ropes? And
I've been fortunate. Initially it was my stepdad, and probably the only reason that he mentored me as well as he did is because my mom hounded him to and wouldn't let up until he did. But I'm a quick study. I took to it very well. Came in an industry I was very good at, and then along the way, I've been really fortunate to come across the people that I have. I've worked with incredible contractors, Don, other nameless amounts of people that really, they say like landmen, like everybody in the business of oil and gas, when you go on the client side of things, when you're in-house in the office, they hate landmen. Because they're like, well, why don't they have to come to the office 9 to 5? Because we still answer the phone at midnight. Because we still get up and go chase cows down with people at 4:30 in the morning. So we still do all that stuff. That's why our job is different. And to be frankly honest, it's why a lot of us got into it, because most people leave land people alone. We're not required to be in an office or a setting. I was just telling someone earlier yesterday, that when I was working on that project in El Paso, there were days where I'd have a meeting whole day set for 2 landowners. And they were 600 miles apart. I'd leave El Paso, drive to Pecos. I'd leave Pecos, drive back to El Paso, and drive to Alpine. That's really fucking far. And it's a lot to put in 2 days. And that was like, my whole thing for a week. Yeah. I was like, what'd you do this week? I'm like, what do you mean what I do this week? I just secured 2 of the biggest landowners on this project in 2 days. I drove 600 miles. And they're like, well, what'd you do the rest of the time? I'm like, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
But
what are you getting at?
And I've been fortunate, especially on this side of things we all know who I'm talking about, to have supervisors and bosses that are very cognizant of how land works in an otherwise very regimented, very corporate, very structured, very red tapey industry. Yeah. That land is extremely abstract, and you can never really, it's curveball left and right. Yeah. You can't, I wish that it was as simple as, okay, we have 73 parcels. We're going to pay $1,000 per parcel. $73,000 is how much this pipeline is going to cost. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. You got someone that wants $500, and you got someone that wants, $700,000. And it's in, at land, you really take it for granted by saying, maybe not take it for granted, but you understand maybe better what other people don't. And to have, people that control the money behind you that understand, it's like, dude, what do you want me to do? This is what they want. What are you going to tell them? No? Then reroute your pipe for 37 contiguous miles and cost $40 million, right? That's the alternative, like we just talked about.
Yeah. Right on, man. Well, you and I could do this all fucking night. Like, this is like our Javier's night, when you and I just chopping shop and hanging out, talking, but we're going to wrap this up. We'll have to bring you back on at some point, but...
Did I make it the full 2 hours?
Already. Yeah, see you. Hey, just so y'all know, and this is a normal thing with guests, this fool was sweating bullets when he asked me, how long is your podcast? I was like, 2 hours. He was like, the fuck am I going to talk about for 2 hours? I was like, it'll go by quicker than you think. We'll be sitting here and we're going to get cut off at a certain point. It's going to happen. It happens every time.
I did prepare for this.
Yeah.
I listened to every Rogan podcast ever, but I had to listen to it at 24x speed on the way over here.
So, yeah, because he goes what was the posty?
I really didn't hear anything. It was I was just like, okay, what do I need to do?
Yeah. Post Malone was what, 5 hours? Man, I would love to be able to sit with Post Malone.
They were high on
5 hours.
They were high on mushrooms, bro.
I don't care what they were high on. I would do that. Post Malone, yes, I want to rock with you. Joe Rogan, yes, I would love to sit down with you. I mean, I can name off my wish list, but that's gonna do nobody any good. But I will say, this has been a lot of fun sitting down with you, man. We wrap up every show with the same 2 questions.
Yeah.
So
let me just say something first.
Yeah.
I think this is such a good platform, and like not necessarily just you in general, but I'm glad that, podcasting has taken on what it is. It didn't just, another thing like a Vine, like we said earlier, that died out. This is important for people to sit down, and whether there's 10 people watching or 600 people watching or 6 million people watching, like, to be in an environment where you think that you can get your voice out and talk to people, like to host this kind of shit, and the work that you guys put on is top notch.
Dude, I really appreciate that, because like this
I sat
is a
down,
lot
I
of
got
fun,
a microphone
man.
in my face. Like this is crazy.
Yeah, like, and have you?
I don't belong here.
And you know what? Like, I think it's an important time to do this too. Like, have you really like worried about or thought about that fucking camera is there the entire time?
I was.
I mean, because I know you, and I know this is all shit you would worry about. Like, I tried to get your dad to fuck with you, and you called him, said like, "What is he wearing?" I was like, "Tell him I'm wearing a suit." Like, I wanted to see if you're gonna like go like change or.
I'm impervious to Tim's bullshit these days. It doesn't matter. He's lost his ability to get one over on me a long time ago. I did look at your computer over there earlier, and my shirt was weird, and it looked like I had a giant fatter belly than I already have. So I started crossing my legs. So yeah, I was worried about the camera a little bit, but
I mean, in general,
I went to finish up with what we talked about at the beginning. Like, I was like, you know what? I got a Stars shirt on. I need to go get a good Stars hat. It's fucking criminal that people in this town don't pay attention to the Stars more. Like, I go over to Shields and there's like two Stars hats.
Hour on that.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, man. They're the best team in this town. I know everybody. I love the Rangers. The Rangers just won the World Series, but I think they're under 500 right now, if not just right above it.
They fucking suck this year.
I mean, talk about a team.
We spent our entire reserve tank and our whole gas tank.
Give me 5 more minutes.
Yeah,
because I got something to say about that.
Yeah.
Like, who thought that the Rangers of last year, with anybody other than maybe Adolis or maybe that's about it, would win a World Series? When we went through the years of having, who's the first batter you got to face? Ian Kinsler? Shit.
I mean, you still had Seager.
Go back farther. When you got Kinsler, Andrus,
Adrian
Hamilton, Beltre, in that order.
Yeah.
Napoli.
Yeah.
I mean, go all the way back there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know we got
robbed.
I know, well, they made it pretty far, and the Phillies kicked our tails in. But
we got robbed. We for sure got robbed.
Did not think that would be the team that did it, but I'm super proud of them, being a longtime Rangers fan, and I mean, maybe the general message of this whole podcast is don't buy shitty knives. Get on Instagram, seek out guys that are making cool shit, really good shit, like his knife, and also pay attention to the Stars, because they're the best team in this city that's got a chance to win a championship every single year.
Yeah. And yeah.
If your star is blue, maybe get a green Sharpie.
As a season ticket holder of the Cowboys, I gave up my Stars year before last. I gave up those season tickets.
What do you think right here? I'll give you 100 on under 12 wins.
On what?
Cowboys this year.
Oh, yeah.
You want over 12?
No.
You take over 11?
No.
11.5?
No.
No?
No.
All right. See?
No.
Biz?
Absolutely not.
I don't know shit about that.
No. Like
I'll take over 11.
No, I'll say this like right now.
You want to go the opposite? I'll take over 11.
You'll take over 11?
Over 11 wins.
I'm in. All right, bet.
Yeah, right.
All right, y'all got it on the show. Because if we don't go over 11 wins and we don't make it if we don't make it to the Super Bowl, I'm saying it right now.
The Dallas Cowboys.
I am giving up my season tickets.
Switch them to the Stars, man. Switch them to the Stars.
No, I'm going to sell my paid off 2 seats in my parking pass. I'm going to give up my license agreement. I'm going to sell my 2 tickets in my parking pass. If we don't at least make it to the Super Bowl, I'm going to give it up.
So I've kind of,
and I'm just going to go to the games that I want to see, and I'm moving on down the road because I agree with you 1,000% because I want my star seats back. My business partner has amazing Maverick seats right behind the visitor bench, like 3 rows behind the visitor bench. I would rather watch the Mavericks or Stars than just continue to get my brains beat in with my Cowboys.
So I haven't been paying attention to much after Derrick Henry came here, bought a house, and they didn't even give him a phone call. I was out anyway, and I'm a lifelong Cowboys fan because my dad is from here. So did CeeDee Lamb ever show up? Did they settle that shit?
No.
They're in promising negotiations now, but who knows?
Out,
Look, homeboy's going to make fucking $18 million this year. He needs to just play. And if he wants to leave next year, he's going to hit with the biggest bag of money that is possibly.
So is Dak.
Yeah, because of what just happened with
Dak, man. Like, everybody wants to hate on Dak, but, like, Dak puts up the shit. Like,
see, I like Dak, though, because I met him. He's not an asshole.
No, he's not an asshole.
He is a... Wow.
Troy Aikman's been a bigger asshole to me personally when I've ran into him more times than he's been cool. And I worked with the Cowboys back when I was like in high school. And they actually were winning Super Bowls and shit.
And the reason I stopped
Emmett, cool.
Emmett's
Dion,
cool.
Dick.
He's Dion.
Because I'm not black. Michael Irvin, loud and obnoxious, but cool as shit. Michael will chop it up with you all day long. Michael's cool as shit. But what's funny is what the media says were assholes. And I'm going back to the Super Bowl days. Who they said were assholes were the nicest guys in the world.
Yeah.
The ones that they said were great, that came and gave them the great interviews and talked to them, those guys were the assholes. It wasn't the Charles Haley's. Dude, Charles Haley was so damn nice. Like, and I've been around Charles when he's in one of his moods too. Like, trust me, if he's in one of his moods, you don't want to hang around him. But like, that's anybody. It's the same reason why when I have NFL guys on here, I don't like go down that road with them. Like, they've been interviewed about their playing career and their statistics a gazillion fucking times.
my wild ride from the buffalo pasture.
About that. Your what?
My wild ride in the buffalo pasture when I was getting chased by the took me on to Haley's Ranch, which is right next to my family's ranch out there in Wills Point. Just interesting that you said that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's legit, man. Like, I hate the fucking media. I'm not even gonna go down the road. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. We're already like way over.
Apparently, we're supposed to go to lighted par 3 golf course or whatever.
Yeah, we'll
PGA.
see about all that. But all right, 2 questions we end the show with every time. So, considering you kind of have a daughter, if you had to give your child one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be? 1.
Don't be an asshole. Like, there's no reason you got to wake up every day and think that the world's against you and try and, you know, be defensive all the time. Like, there's just like we've been talking about with how you got to act like a chameleon or whatever. You can be genuine, still get what you need, and not be a shithead to the most people that you come across. Like, I can't stand when, you know, some people go to a restaurant and like someone's trying to take their order and they're like, oh yeah, I'll have a Coke or whatever, you know, like, shit drives me crazy. Like, maybe not be an asshole, but maybe realize that we're all in this shit together. We're all humans. We're all on the same planet. We're all working through our own different, insane bullshit that everybody else is. Yeah. Just try and be nice. But if somebody wants to be a dick back, fuck them up. Yeah. You know?
I second that. All right, last question. This is a time where it's Common Sense Podcast. You get to give your 2 cents. Like, if there was something I asked you tonight that maybe you thought about it now because you've been thinking about it while we've been talking and you wanted to say something else, or maybe there's just something in the world that's weighing on you. It's just, Terrence, you get to give us your 2 cents. Give us your 2 cents.
I wish you would have. I wish you would have led with that.
Yeah. Well, that's
that was. You should ask those questions in reverse, because that was the most philosophical shit that I've said tonight. You know what? I'm gonna have to reverse it. You know what? Right at the beginning of the podcast, you said, "You know what, sports fans, let's roll it out with that to let you all down with, you don't get my Plato-ish moment. If you're gonna like a team, learn the fucking team's history. Don't be like, who's your favorite player? Oh, Jamie Benn. Like, which I love Jamie Benn. Let's not get that wrong, but you know, shit, man, I don't know.
All right, so
history is important. Learn history of everything.
Who is your favorite Stars player
Ever?
No, like current. Let's go current.
Oh fuck! Come on, that's not fair.
You just said it. Learn your history. Who's your favorite fucking player?
I'm going to contradict myself here, but I guess it's probably still Jamie, because he's settled into the role that he's supposed to be in now. He's that third line, second line, Brendan Morrow type. He's like, hey, don't fuck with my team. Let Wyatt Johnson, Logan Stankoven, Robertson, let them do their thing, and you're going to have to deal with me if you mess with them. I love that type. That's what a captain should be. A captain should not be Austin fucking Matthews.
My favorite
who just got named like 2 days ago.
Darren Hatcher.
You said current.
I know, but my favorite, I'm gonna roll with Hatcher.
Dude, that's bullshit. You're gonna like, of course I'd have said Hatcher like a million. You know who my favorite is? Is Daryl Sador. I'm gonna roll with
Hatcher because or Jankowski.
Oh, Sador, man, crawling around on the ice, swatting the pucks with a busted
MCL. I want to see a dude
MCL.
that's gonna go out there and murder people and play with his heart every night and give it his all.
You know what?
And stick up for his team no matter what. Like, Darren Hatcher used to be my favorite because, like, we could go over to the volleyball place over. God, I can't think.
No, we talked about this. It was off of like Luna or 635 and shit.
And
we used to go there.
Hatcher used to be out there for quarter beers on Sunday, man. And like, that dude legit has Tourette's.
Yeah,
and like,
he really does.
They would take him off his medicine in the playoffs, like, quote unquote, from him, talking to him, hanging out when I was like 21 years old. And he would be like, yeah, man, like, they just turned the beast loose. And I'm like, fucking A, bro. Like, that is legit. And like, he would annihilate people. And like, man, he wouldn't let any of his captains or alternates, he wouldn't let anybody, he wouldn't let the third string take shit. Like, if somebody got done wrong, he's going to go out there and be the remedy. And, you know, that's what I love to see in hockey. So, hey, man, I fucking appreciate the shit out of you. Thanks for doing this. I know this was a little out of your comfort zone, but I appreciate you coming and just sharing your story and your knowledge with everybody.
Yeah.
And hope to have you back.
I think we game plan for this, and we talked very little about what we game planned for it. So
that's always what works best, man. People that ask me for questions, I'm like, nope, we don't do that. We're just going to rock.
That's good, man. This was it. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
All right. Well, I hope you guys will join us again next week. We will be back live on Thursday. Same time, same place. Y'all be safe out there. Peace.